So Emma, we're going to now walk to the wall to do the second procedure. And again, we're in this narrow base. And just be aware that you're not too close to the wall. So there is that's it, lovely. And that you're also squared off so that the parallel sort of angle to this surface. Again, just remind ourselves about those bony processes, this trochanter coming up into the iliac crest so that that's not coming forward too much. And then from there coming up to the acromion. And then from there finding the mastoid process. Fingers, just finding the back of the skull, just knowing where the feet are in relationship to the skull. Coming to the front so you know where that's great. And then up. Just getting a sense. So you're not lifting the skull, but by freeing the neck, the spine is lengthening and widening. And then from there, we'll just release this outside arm, again, finding that freedom in the wrist, and then allowing the fingers to lengthen the arm away against the shoulder so that clavicle is nice and open, and then the sliding joint brings it back. And then from here, you know where the elbow is, and then find the hand in front of you. So in your peripheral vision, you can see where the hand is. And then we're just reaching up to fully extend the arm. And as we're doing this, we're maintaining that vertical direction through the spine down into the feet. And we're opening up the palm as much as possible to get as much of the surface of that palm on this surface, so that there's a traction which we start to find, which allows the hand, in a sense, to hang down into the shoulder joint. Again, we'd be thinking of whether we're standing slightly forward, so we want to be thinking of the big toe joint, the little toe joint, and the heel. And then if the arm starts to slide down, just use the fingers to stretch it up a bit more. Again, noticing that that thumb is still in your peripheral vision, so that it's not back here. And then it's a matter of maintaining this direction through the vertical and allowing the arm to rest truly from this shoulder joint, falling into the wall. So we're paying attention not to favour part of the spine, moving it towards the arm, and trying to negotiate our balance through that vertical, whilst at the same time we're allowing the weight of the arm to rest, falling back into the shoulder, but also falling away from the body. And as we're standing here and letting that happen, the muscles of the arm, particularly very often the lower arm, are starting to change. They're starting to expand. The fibers of the muscles are starting to open up. And you might find that there's a certain kind of gentle ache starting to happen. Again, it will naturally slide down. Again, you're working with as much, without pushing, as much of that open palm as possible. And again, paying attention to really thinking of this vertical line and allowing the arm to fall away into this surface from the rest of the body. And again, you might need to just shift it up a bit. And you'll be aware of releasing parts of the muscles in the arm that are drawing attention to themselves now through letting it go. Again, yeah, it's quite a good idea to extend it a little bit more if you think that's appropriate. But the main concern is to do nothing with the arm, to allow the arm to rest away from the body from this joint and rest in this surface so that the muscles of the arm can release. And also, you start to find a buoyancy in the shoulder girdle. And probably now we're starting to experience a slight hot and cold sensation in the arm, and maybe a slight ache. And if we can put up with that for maybe another minute, that's when we can really get a sense of the changes going on in the musculature of the arm. And we'll probably notice that the flexors, in the lower arm, by the wrist and just sort of above the wrist in the lower arm, they might start to really ache a little more. And probably also towards the little finger, the outside line of the hand. Always a good idea to lift the corners of the mouth while you're doing this, to keep the attention going. So the attention is really a continuum of noting your balance in this narrow platform, trying to work with the vertical and still allowing this arm to rest away from the body. So then you can really allow the arm to slide down by freeing the elbow, and then as it comes you're shifting the back of the hand and then directing the fingers forward, and then allowing the elbow to move down, and then of course the fingers to start to begin to direct the whole of the arm down, with the thumb and the index finger the last kind of contact with this surface, so that you can really get a length from this open clavicle. And then you can even bring it down a little more, so you get the full length coming from this part of the shoulder, so that you really extend the thumb. And that's, you can actually sort of rest in extending that thumb a little bit. That really helps us to know where we're placed in space. And then again, this sliding joint, we're going to work with that sliding joint so that the weight of the thumb brings the arm down to the side. And then you can just feel it resting and being suspended in a way from that shoulder. And that's when we can take a little walk with this new sensation in the arm. We can probably check each other and see that the clavicle, the shoulder is quite different having done that. Great. So now we do the other side. So we'll do exactly the same thing. We'll switch places and come in. Again, we're finding this narrow position. But it will feel quite different now, this arm. And then into the iliac crest. This is when it's going to be interesting to just move the arm up, because it will feel different now. Very good. And here, and then again up here, through here again, up here, and here you've got your elbow. I'm going to move a little further away, I'm just a bit close. And then as we're here, you're going to again free this wrist. That will really feel different as it comes down. It will feel a lot lighter and freer, and then it can hang down. You know that you've got that space. You're not leaning into the elbow. You're knowing that you're on your 2 feet, extending the fingers, reaching up. And yes, enjoying that real extension of the arm above the body, because you're not engaging the muscles that you would normally have to to lift the arm up. And again, we're really making sure we're making contact through the whole surface of that hand. So the palm is quite open, the fingers, again you're noting that the thumb, if you just wiggle it, is in your peripheral vision. Again, you can reach it up a shade more so that it can really hang down. And again, we're working with where the weight is in the feet. If we've come forward, we might want to just gently free the ankles so that you get a sense of both heels, the big toe and the little toe joint. And again, it's another moment of maintaining this direction in the vertical all the way through to the feet, but at the same time allowing the weight of the whole arm from this shoulder joint to rest into this surface. Each time it will just slide a bit. And as we're doing this more often, you'll notice that you can let go of certain muscles around the shoulder, perhaps, but also you'll start to feel a kind of stretch, as I've already said, in the lower arm and the flexors. And we're sort of sending this arm away to rest into this wall. And each time we're doing that, we're observing what's naturally starting to find a sort of resting length in the arm, and at the same time what we're doing to maintain our direction, the head, neck and back, through down to the feet, in relationship to where we're standing in balance. Yeah, we might even notice that we're holding some of the leg muscles perhaps, so that's an opportunity to go, oh yeah. So our attention is kind of, moving from being aware of this vertical to letting go of the arm, and then occasionally to lifting it up again so we get the full length, and really allowing the weight to hang out onto this surface. Yeah. So yeah, we want to try and see if we can stay here for perhaps another minute, because we're probably already feeling a difference in the sensory experience of this arm. I'm left-handed, so it tends to be more. I use my left arm a little bit more, so it tends to be more when I'm doing it on my left side. And that might be the same for you, because this is your right arm. Yeah. And there'll be natural releasing of breathing when suddenly you let go of the arm. And yeah, at the beginning of doing these procedures for both arms, there'll be a certain sense of, uncomfortability, if that's a word. Mm-hmm. And it's worthwhile just trying to stay with the experience so that it can release a little more. But now as we allow it to slide down, so it's really allowing the elbow to soften, I think, and then it will move down, and then moving the back of the hand, knowing where the elbow is, moving the fingers, because then they start to initiate that movement of the arm down in this joint. And then, of course, it's the thumb, the index finger. Get a sense of where this surface is in relationship to where we're standing, and that thumb is the one that you can really extend so that you get a sense of where you really are in space. We know where we're standing in relation to this wall. And then, of course, the thumb will slide away. And that's when the sliding joint and the weight of the lower arm in the hand will just let it kind of spring back to the side. And then that's when we can walk with two different arms into the space. Maybe you can tell me if there's a difference in my shoulders. There's certainly one in...
You look more dropped.
Yeah, certainly a difference with you. Great. So that completes the second procedure.